Another technique for plus clay is carving. You can carve it and drill it. I love carving. You let the clay dry somewhat until it gets to what's called the leather hard state. It's not completely dry. It's still workable, but it's not very pliable either. So it's just the perfect state for carving, because it holds some resistance to your tools. And I'm simply using a cleanup clay tool. And you can draw a pattern on the clay and then begin to carve. It's really terrific for making your own mosaic tiles. I've been making mosaic tiles this way and then adding them to backsplashes and wall pieces and murals. And I'll tell you what, getting good mosaic pieces, ceramic mosaic tiles that are individual artist-made tiles, are very expensive because they have to be fired, they have to be glazed, and they have to be fired again. That's a very lengthy and expensive process, where plus clay absolutely gets rid of 3 of those processes. Simply roll it out, let it dry for overnight. Well, not overnight. Let's see, start it again. Simply roll it out, let it dry for an hour, put your pattern on, and begin to carve. Once you've finished carving, you can begin to decorate the surface and then seal it. When you want to seal our clay, you can seal it in many different ways. It just depends on what you want to use it with. If you want to use it for waterproofing, I would suggest that you use epoxy. Other than that, you can just use a water-based acrylic. Plus clay is ideal for jewelry making because there's no baking needed. Simply open the package, shape your beads, pierce them, let them dry. It's just that simple. You can virtually use any kind of paint, gold leaf, silver leaf, make any kind of look you need, any shape. It's terrific. Plus clay is terrific for hand building techniques as well, slab and coil. For both these hand building techniques, it's exactly the same as using a traditional clay. Simply roll it out for slab, score, and put it together, and the same with coil. Plus clay is great for making home decor pieces as well. This isn't really a sculpture. I consider it more of home decor. I simply slabbed out some pieces and began to make shapes and carved out a lion's head, and then attached it to a canvas board that had been painted and leafed. I love using plus clay for making home decor. It's so easy and so economical. It air dries, I can decorate it with anything, and it's simple to use. Plus clay can be thrown on a wheel. Because it's a mineral-based clay, a natural clay, it can be kiln fired as well. Whereas our competitor's clay cannot because it's synthetic-based. When I'm throwing, I prefer the terracotta. Though you can throw all 3 colors, you can also mix them. When you're going to fire the clay, you want to fire between 04 and 06. When you're firing, you want to be firing in a well-ventilated area, of course, because the binder is going to be escaping. When you're firing the plus clay, because the pigments are organic that we use to color them, the white will remain white, the terracotta will lighten somewhat, and the black actually turns red. Plus clay is terrific to use. It stores so well. When working on a piece that takes longer, simply dampen it once in a while with a sponge, and you can continue to work as long as you like. When you're ready to stop and store it, take a brush, dampen the entire piece, and cover with a plastic bag. you will be able to work with this piece off and on as long as you want. And when I say as long as you want, I mean weeks. I worked on another portrait with plus clay off and on for over 3 weeks without problem. This piece I worked on in my spare time off and on for over 3 weeks. Some of the work was even done in the dry air of a trade show. Then when I was finished working, all I did was step away and plus clay dried perfectly. It took 3.5 days for this piece to dry. No cracking, it's perfect. No warping, no pulling away. Plus clay dries so well.